In villages near the test zone, we've seen cases of children with terrible deformities. To find out if their suffering is caused by the radioactive contamination, we need to get hold of the Chinese authorities' own medical papers. Our search for evidence takes us to the region's capital city, Urumqi. We know we can't stay here long. It's not a popular tourist attraction. Despite the risk, it's time for Anwar to begin his undercover search for medical documents. We give him a concealed camera to record onto video any documents he can obtain. To avoid creating any suspicion, Anwar tells the other medics he's researching a doctoral thesis on cancer. They must not suspect what he's up to. Under constant threat of being denounced as an imposter, Anwar starts to trawl through the documents. He knows that if he's found out, he'll face a 20-year prison sentence. While he continues his search for statistics in Urumqi, we receive important news from a contact. In the south of Xinjiang province, there are senior doctors willing to talk to us. To avoid attracting any attention, we play at being tourists.
What about the small ones?
Then we hear from our contact. For the first time ever, doctors in Xinjiang are prepared to speak out about the effects of the nuclear tests on their region. They know they are taking a huge risk talking to foreigners. To protect them, their identities are heavily concealed.
All I can say is that the chemotherapy department at the hospital is very, very busy. 90% of the patients have blood cancers or lymphatic cancers.
Basically, cancer is everywhere in Xinjiang. The increase has been dramatic over the last 20 years or so, particularly in the south.
We often see children here under the age of 12. They have lung cancer or liver cancer. We see both types in children of this age.
The doctors confirm that cancers are rapidly increasing in Xinjiang. And what's even more disturbing, many of these cancers are among the young. This 26-year-old woman has bowel cancer, rare in a young person. But she lives in Kola, the nearest city downwind of the nuclear test site.
The local hospital couldn't find what the problem was for a long time, and the pain gradually got worse and worse.
So this is a recurrence? This isn't the first time you've been in hospital?
Yes. The first time I had an operation. I don't really know what happened, but after the operation I still felt ill.
After radiation exposure, one of the cancers which appears most quickly is leukemia. If there are more people getting leukemia, it'll be a strong indication of the effects of the nuclear explosions.
There are no statistics for leukemia here, but as far as we can see, more and more people are getting it. The number of people who have it now is much higher than before.
This young boy is seriously ill with leukemia. His skin is covered in black marks as a result of the disease.
Many families have children with blood cancers, but they can't go to hospital. Blood cancers are difficult and expensive to treat, so many people just die. Some of the people are diagnosed, but then realise they can't afford the treatment, so they leave.
The doctors we meet are convinced that radiation from the nuclear tests is responsible for the increasing rate of cancer among these young people. But they also say the Chinese state is blocking all access to the truth.
The nuclear explosions have caused increased air and water pollution. We can't do research into it. It's not allowed. We can't do any of the research.
Back in Urumqi, we meet up with Anwar again. He's managed to smuggle out a batch of documents from the hospital. Our excitement at getting hold of them is mixed with anxiety over the increased risk. Among Anwar's haul, there are many scientific papers on radioactive contamination from the nuclear tests. But they all contain the same blanket denials. According to the Chinese, the nuclear bombs did not cause any radiation contamination in the Silk Road towns. And there were no ill effects for the local population. But evidence from the international scientific community shows this to be untrue. Fallout from Chinese nuclear tests was detected 5,000 miles away, even in Britain. We spend the night sifting through piles of documents. Suddenly we get a break. A scientific paper from the epidemiology department of Xinjiang Medical College. It says that here in Urumqi, the largest city near the test zone, the number predicted to die from cancer is going to virtually double between 1993 and the year 2000. An extraordinary increase. We record the sensitive documents onto videotape so we can smuggle them out as tourist film. We are now determined to get hold of further documentary proof. Anwar decides to take a huge gamble. He asks his contacts directly to get him access to a specific, highly confidential document. He knows that any one of them might betray him to the police. To avoid any suspicion, we return to our role as tourists. Kashgar, where the Silk Roads of China converge. In summer, it is the highlight of any tourist trip. They come to see the rich oasis culture of the Uyghur people. They are not Chinese at all, but all Chinese nuclear bombs have been detonated in their homeland. A local contact takes us to secret meetings with more patients. Radiation can cause children to be born with cleft palates. Here we meet one such child out of the many born into families living downwind of the test zone.
After the bombs were exploded 10 years ago, in the towns near the test site, many children were born with cleft palates. We found that for every 10 patients, 8 had cleft palates.
For a doctor to see 8 out of 10 child patients with cleft palates is unusual and a clear indication of the effects of the nuclear tests.
The incidence of congenital deformities is very high. We also have deformities such as enlarged stomach, enlarged bowel, enlarged head, and gynecological problems. There are many children with deformities that we never find out about. They just die. Nobody has ever said it, but we think the nuclear pollution is the cause.
This 6-year-old boy is typical of the children we meet. His doctor's report states that his brain has not formed normally.
So what things can he do now? Can he walk now?
His small brain, leading to severe learning difficulties, indicates yet another congenital abnormality.
Oh, he's a bit unstable.
People from Kashgar, Hotan and the other areas around here, when they find out how difficult treatment is and how much it costs, they have to take their children home.